My name's Eddie Winters. You're tuned into the Rock and Roll Coup d'etat. You're hearing some brand new music from Leslie West of his new record, Soundcheck. I'm excited. I'm very excited. We're going to bring on Leslie West. You know, it is an honor and a privilege to speak to somebody. He needs no introduction. He's one of the most influential guitar players ever. And it is a proud honor and privilege to bring him on. Leslie, how you doing this morning?
Well, you're very kind.
Oh.
You're very kind.
Well, I got some applause for you, baby. This is...
every word of it's
That is great. You know what? It is a pleasure. We've been listening to this, the new record, all morning long, playing tracks from it. And it is, I mean, I don't know how you did it, but, I mean, oozing with hot smoking riffs, some of the most heaviest stuff. I mean, it is great, and of course you got amazing collaborations with some of the greats, Peter Frampton, Brian May. How did this record come about? How did you? I mean, you just put out a new record. How did you? You know, a couple of years back, 2 years ago, and then you're already releasing a new one. How did this originate?
Well, you know what? I think since I signed with Mascot Vogue, it really is a great label for me and great label for guitarists.
Right.
The idea was I knew I was going to do a new album, but I don't like calling them cover songs. I like calling them interpretations. So the new songs that I wrote 3 or 4 new ones on there. I wanted them to feel like they sounded like they belonged to each other, with each other. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And the opening track, Born Left by the Roadside to Die, I wrote that. That's the way I felt when I lost my leg 4 years ago.
Right.
But my wife wrote some really great words, and it turned into I love this song, the intro with the synthesizer. I played that on the guitar. And I asked my keyboard player, David Biglin, David, can you play this on the keyboard? And he did, and because my theory was I wanted to have that go through the whole song.
Sure.
But you know, most people would think it's a Leslie West album. You hear a guitar riff open the album, and so I wanted to do a little change.
It's hypnotic. Absolutely draws you in. And it's got I love the way it feels. I mean, just right off the bat, you're like, what is going on? And then, of course, the signature sound. It's
Thank you.
Absolutely stunning. Was that the first track that you kind of wrote for this record?
It's the first track I wrote for the album, but it wasn't the first track I recorded for the album. First one I recorded was Gretchen Wilson's I'm Here for the Party.
Right.
And I came up with a riff for that. I had to change the gender because she was singing about, you know, she's a female. And,
right.
She said, great. You know, there's a lot of these groups, you think they're country western groups. She's not a country act, man. She's a balls to the wall rock group.
Right.
You know, a motorcycle chick. But that song, I absolutely love the words. You know, I'm here for the party. Even though, believe it or not, I've never had a drink. I've never had a beer in my life. I've had, occasionally I have a vodka or something like that, but I've never had a beer. I don't know what that, you know.
What that sensation is like.
Yeah. And I never liked the taste of the beer. It looked great, but so we were off and running when the album started, and then who could I ask to play on the album? And I had just done something a year before with Peter Frampton.
Right.
He had a tour called Frampton Circus. And Peter asked me if I would come out and do a couple of shows with him. He wanted to sing Theme from Imaginary Western, which is what a mountain song.
Of course.
So you can see it on YouTube if you look it up. But after we did it, I said, Peter, I want to start my album, and I have this idea for a song. If I can get it down, I'd love you to do. And he said, of course, just send it to me. And there was a television show here called Sons of Anarchy.
Right.
And, Eddie, I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you move closer to the mic?
You got it, baby.
Okay. So, I'm watching Sons of Anarchy, and I hear in the background, I think it's the song "You Are My Sunshine," but it wasn't the way I knew it. The way I knew it was like a happy, "You are my sunshine, my only sunshine." It was like a cowboy song.
Right.
But they did it in a minor key, and I said, "Wait a minute, I could do this." I arranged it in a minor key, and then I sent it to Peter. After I sang it and did my solo, and I showed him where the places would be for him to play, and he texted me right back. He says, "My God, I can't believe how incredible the song sounds by changing the key
Right.
from major to minor." And so, and I know Peter maybe 45 years.
Wow.
We never ever recorded together. We toured together, had the same agent. He's such a sweetheart. When I played with him on his Frampton Circus, in between the songs, I said, "Well, Peter's manager's dead. My manager's dead. We had the same agent. He's dead." I said, "Peter, what the fuck are we still doing here?"
Right.
And he comes over to me and he says, "They can't take our money now, mate."
Right.
So, but he's so lovely. I live the next town from him in Westchester, and he's he may be the nicest, sweetest human being I've met in the music business.
And
That's
it's
a fantastic person.
and that track, by the way, is I mean, it's smoking. It's got the harmonies, the guitar. I mean, just absolutely beautiful track. I mean, I was going to ask you. I mean, you work with Peter on this record. You also Brian May is on this record. Can you tell us
Right.
about working with Brian May?
Yeah. Well, first of all, with Peter, if you listen to that track, I'm playing slide guitar.
Right.
He's playing regular guitar. It was Peter that sent back the harmony at the end, that line that's him and I harmonizing.
Sure.
It was fantastic. But with Brian May, the song "Going Down" is probably my favorite jamming song of all time.
Right.
And probably would be, I would say 90% of all guitar players would play that song. And so, a friend of mine, John Tiven, who produced Wilson Pickett, Steve Cropper,
Right.
he was recording the songs of Don Nix. Don Nix wrote "Going Down." And all these guys were on there, but nothing really ever happened with it. And I knew Brian May was on there. And Bonnie Bramlett from Delaney and Bonnie.
Right.
So I called John up, my friend, John Tiven. I said, "John, boy, would I love to do that song on my new album." He said, "Well, you have to sing it." I said, "Well, that's easier said than done, but I don't have the tape, the masters." He says, "They're in my office next door. I'll send them to you. You'll have them in the morning." I said, "You're kidding." He says, "Just go sing the shit out of it." So I sang it, and as we're listening to it, my engineer and partner, Mike Goldberg, we see on track 15, initials BM on the tape, on the
Right.
the sheet. Brian May. I said, you can't hear Brian. So what we do is we open everything up, and so you hear me playing the lead from the beginning to around, I'd say, 2 minutes and 48 seconds, 2 minutes 50 seconds, and Brian plays from that point all the way out.
Wow.
And it's just fantastic because I know Brian doesn't do a lot of stuff like that.
Sure.
And John called and said, "Listen, Leslie wants to use the Going Down with you and him on his album." Brian said, "I'd be honored to be on the album with Leslie." So I was thrilled, man. Picking people to just play on other names to play on your album, like Unusual Suspects. I was lucky. I had Slash, Billy Gibbons,
Right.
Zach Wild, Steve Lukather, and the next album I had Lawrence Tremonti,
Right.
Johnny Lang, and but these are people I wanted to play on my album. It wasn't that, well, let's see who I can get.
Right.
Because what good is that? I see all these, like on Johnny Winter's last album, my engineer mixed it.
Wow.
I had gotten him the gig doing it because he gets such a great sound on my guitars and stuff.
Of course.
And they were very impressed. So there was so many. I think there must have been over 20 songs, and I think I did "Long Tall Sally." But the fact of the matter is, there were so many guest guitar players on the album, and I guess it worked out because Johnny passed away, and it was like a tribute. But when you throw so many different musicians on a project, I always think that maybe are they trying to hide something, and it worked out really well, man. I only had, there was one other, the tribute to Jack Bruce with Spoonful.
Of course. A live track, too.
Yeah, and that was done God knows how many years ago. And it was 15 minutes long, and my engineer cut it to 7 minutes and change, I think.
Right.
Yeah, and put it together. And in my head, I was trying to clone Eric Clapton. And with Jack sang so incredible on it. We were working on my album upstate New York. Jack came over to do this album. And I guess the promoter in the next town heard we were there and wanted to know if we would do a impromptu set the following night, Saturday night. No advertising, no anything, just giving it play. And I guess word of mouth must have got around, and it only held about 300, but there was over 500 people in the place.
I bet.
But my engineer, Paul Orfino, recorded it on a stereo deck. And it really came out fantastic when you consider all he had was 2 mics, and he used a room mic.
Right.
And I get tears in my eyes when I really listen to that, because it's just sad that he's not around anymore.
Of course. And I mean, it's such a brilliant performance, too. I mean, the way you guys lock in, and we listened to this morning. I was just commenting. It's just absolute, a time and place, and it was a great moment. And it's awesome that it's on the record. So, I mean, it closes out the album. I mean, it's such a perfect way to, bring the record back home.
Well, you hit on something, Eddie, because Jack knew what I was going to play before I even played it.
Right.
And vice versa. We were talking to each other, and fantastic, because that was one of the magical things about playing with somebody like Jack Bruce, and probably the best overall musician that I've ever played with, and songwriter and singer, and we went through a lot of shit together, and luckily we had that in the vault,
Right.
I played with his son Malcolm a couple of years ago, and his son Malcolm, it's scary. He sounds like Jack when he sits at the piano and plays Theme from Imaginary Western. We did that live, just guitar and piano.
Right.
And it's just very. We lost a lot of good people this year. Let's put it that way.
Of course. I mean, I was going to ask. I mean, it's. You've played with so many great. I mean, just the list is just huge, and I could do a whole other program just going on the list. But you played with all these guys, and is it tough to when you're putting a record out and you're bringing in, like you mentioned, bringing in other guys who have different sounds, and I mean, you are the king of tone as they know it, and I mean, to dial in these sounds to make a record. What is that process like for you today, going into the studio?
The process is, I have a great engineer and co-producer.
Yeah.
And we didn't have to change much, because I'm from the school of, well, I like to hear what's coming out of the damn cabinet. I don't need all these tricks from the board or all
Right.
this stuff. And when you listen to, like, My Sunshine, you hear Peter, he plays with this beautiful, what Clapton used to call the woman tone. It's the bass pickup by the neck. And I'm playing slide. And we didn't have to do much to his sound at all. Brian, we had to raise the level up because Don Nix, I don't know if he even knew who Brian May was.
Right.
But that came out really fantastic. And on that song also, Bonnie Brown was singing background, and we had to lock my voice in with her because I've never sung harmony on any of the albums I've ever done.
Wow.
So Mike really locked that together, and the intro, Max Middleton's intro on the piano, might be my favorite intro of a piano. And oh my God, it gets me so excited. And then I come Rip Gordon in there with some note. I forgot the note that I bent to come in
Right.
the intro. But if you know what you're looking for, I could tell you, I could name you 100 guys I wouldn't have to play on the album.
Right.
And it's just, luck has got a lot to do with it. Seriously.
I mean, I would
You know
imagine.
what you're doing. You really do think you know what you're doing, and then all of a sudden, you're scratching your ass and say, "What the fuck did I just do?"
Right.
And so, but luckily, we didn't have to throw anything out. The one cut that I had trouble with was in the next town from me. Another guy died, Benny King,
Oh, of course.
and so I wanted to do that song, but I just couldn't do it good. So the girl that's singing is my niece.
Is that right?
Ariella. She's 16 years old, and I thought, well, what if she sang it? We did it acoustically, and then I came in and did the chorus with my big, growly, gruffy voice, and it worked.
It's I was going to also bring up the track Stern Warning, acoustic. I believe it's in I don't know what tuning it's in, but it is gorgeous, and it kind of you expect the heavy thunder of the rockin' guitars, but when this comes in, it is. I mean, it's just a standout track. Can you tell us a little bit about the meaning, I guess, behind the title and how that track even came about?
Well, it's obvious that it's about Howard Stern.
Sure.
And he called me we have a great relationship. He was learning the guitar 2 summers ago, and I've given him a couple of Leslie West model guitars, and he asked me, I had a song on my very first album, Because You Are My Friend, and another one, To My Friend. He said, what was the meaning behind that instrumental? I said, well, Felix said, if I write a song for acoustic guitar, he'll give me this beautiful Guild acoustic.
Right.
And I used, on this album, it's called a Larrabee, made in the British Columbia. Larave, a handmade guitar, and it's the best recording acoustic guitar that I've ever played. And so I wrote a new part and called it a Stern Warning because it reminded me of the song that Howard liked originally. And Stern Warning, my father used to always give me that line if I did something where I fucked up. He'd say, I'm giving you a stern warning, young man.
Right.
You've got 5 minutes. Or he'd say to me, when you get a minute, I want to see you right now. When you get a minute, I want to see you right now. But a stern warning, and he's been a big influence on my playing, believe it or not, Howard. He knows, for some reason, he likes guitars. In fact, Jack Bruce was over in England at Abbey Road, and Howard was doing a remote for his radio show. They flew over to England. And so Jack was a guest on the show, playing piano. And so Howard called me up at home. I was living in New York, in Westchester. He said, "I have Jack here. Can you guys play theme from Imaginary Western?" I said, "Boy, I have a small amp in my living room, but there's a 7-second delay.
Right.
And plus, there's an ocean in the middle that's going to make a big delay."
Right.
And so I was trying to count 7 seconds ahead. And somehow, Howard recorded it. Jack singing theme from Imaginary Western. I know where I'm off,
Right.
but I'm not going to tell you. But it was just like amazing how I'm trying to count backwards in my head and then play going forward.
Right.
Trying to eliminate the 7-second delay. But you know from being in radio what that is. How do you get rid of that? You gotta count.
Yeah, you gotta be you gotta be ready, good with math.
Oh boy, and then you can hear Jack and what it say. "Let's have a transatlantic guitar solo, Les." And all of a sudden I started playing the solo, and I was trying to catch up. But he filled in beautifully with the piano, so it didn't sound like, I was that far behind.
Right.
Howard was just, he said it's one of his favorite cuts. In fact, only has a few more shows left, Howard. He's going to I think he's going to retire.
Right. Oh, is that? Yeah.
So next Wednesday I'm going to do a show probably for the last time. Who knows what he'll do. He can come back in a year and do a show once a week. I don't know.
Right.
He certainly doesn't need the money. And, he's been getting up at 4:30 in the morning for a long time.
Yeah, I don't know how you could do that. I that's about the time I usually go to bed. So.
Yeah. Well, you get used to it, I often wondered on Saturday when you can sleep late, do you wake up automatically at that time?
Right.
Fuck it, I'm sleeping tonight.
Right. I was going to mention, you brought up Howard Stern, and years ago, when you were doing the Stern Show back in the 80s, you had a collaboration with a comedian a dear comedian, Sam Kinison. Can you tell us what a thrill? I mean, imagine to work with the legendary Sam Kinison. Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with Sam?
Yeah, well, Howard introduced me to him. We were playing at the theater at Madison Square Garden. We were doing a New Year's show. Howard was doing, and I was his band leader. And Sam was playing at a club downtown. I think it was called the Roxy. And Sam came over in between his shows, and Howard introduced the two of us. And the next thing I know, Sam asked me, "Do you want to come out and be my band leader? I'm doing something at the Universal Amphitheater," and so on and so forth. And yeah, sure. And all of a sudden now, I'm hanging out with Sam, and Sam, he did more drugs than a battalion could do.
Right.
And unfortunately, I mean, he died a horrible death. He was driving with his fiancée, I think.
Right.
Maybe he was married, and some kid in a pickup truck coming the other way. He was driving from Hollywood to Las Vegas. The guy in a pickup truck hit him, and Malika was the woman who he's with, and she's looking at Sam. She says, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah, I think I'm fine." There was no blood or anything like that, and sure enough, he was bleeding to death inside.
Right.
And he passed away, and it was a real shame. But Howard and I had, and Sam, we had some time, man. He was a piece of work.
Right. And he did Mississippi Queen on his. You guys performed on that. I mean, just
Yeah.
it seemed like a mutual love and respect for each other at the time.
It was. We had fights and arguments. When I went to the studio to record it with him in Hollywood, it was like 3 in the morning. He's supposed to pick me up at 12. So 3 in the morning, he picks me up. Get to the studio, there's 100 people hanging out.
Right.
I see Julian Lennon playing the piano and all these people. And Sam says, "Is there anything you need?" I say, "Yeah, could you get 98 of these people out of here?"
Right.
So we could actually do something. And then, of course, one morning I remember listening to the show, and Howard announced that Sam had just died, and it was like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Too soon. Too soon. I have a lot of dedications on this album. It's, besides Jack Bruce, I don't know if you have the promo copy, but the real copy is a booklet in there with my wife wrote an incredible poem for Johnny with his passing, and one of my best friends also passed away. I dedicated "People Get Ready" to him, and it's amazing. I'm still here.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a great record. You know, the record does, by the way, hit stores, I guess, November 20th. So it's going to be out in 8 days. And you're also doing some shows. You've got a couple in December at Daryl's house in New York, and of course Ram's Head in Annapolis, Maryland. One of the fine actual.
Well, we just finished doing B.B. King's in New York. And
right.
One of the freakiest things. About 2 days before the show, a security team called B.B. King's. They wanted to know if they could come and scope out the place, exits, entrances, because Paul Allen wanted to come see me. You know, Bill Gates' partner.
Of course.
And so they came down, they scoped out the place, and my wife said to me, Paul Allen wants to come to the show. Now, I played at his museum in Seattle, the Experience, and he couldn't make it to the show, but his people asked if they could have a copy of the show for their collection.
Right.
So what happened was, I said to my wife, I said, Jenny, how is Paul Allen going to get to his seat? Where's he going to sit? The place was oversold, you know, there was standing room they were selling. And
right.
She said, he's going to sit in the front row right in front of you. I said, you're kidding. So now I'm nervous. So sure enough, the lights go down. Time for the show. And these 4 bodyguards walk him and this beautiful woman in, sitting right down the front. And I'm playing, I'm watching, you know, doing the show. And I'm even watching what he's eating. He's having sliders. You know, he's a regular, normal guy, you know. And but I knew he played guitar. He has one of the most incredible guitar collections, you know. If you were worth $23 billion, you know, you'd have
right.
a big, right? So after the show, I had a meet and greet. There was quite a few people paid to do this, you know, take a picture with me,
sure,
get an autograph. But he knew about that, and his security team asked if it was okay if Paul came back to meet me before I did all that, because that could take an hour or two easy.
Right.
So, absolutely. So I come off stage. Right before I left, we closed with a Willie Nelson song, Turn Out the Lights. The party's over.
Right.
And right with about a minute to go, I see security team from the club and his own bodyguards come and get him, and they take him backstage. So I come off stage. Now, you know, I play in a wheelchair now since I lost my leg. My balance is terrible with the prosthetic.
Right.
I was always worried about falling, so I'm sitting down. So I go back, and I see outside the dressing room, there are 2 bodyguards. I was looking at them during the show. They were smiling at me. I knew that they knew they must have liked Mountain or something. But anyway, I go in the dressing room, and Paul's sitting there with a beautiful woman. And the first thing I say to him is, my hero, I changed guitar strings. You changed the world. He started laughing, and he shook my hand. It's my friend Monica. Not my girlfriend Monica. My friend Monica. Beautiful, very classy date.
Right.
You know. and we chatted for half an hour. I gave him one of my Leslie West signature Mississippi Queen guitars that I just played as a gift, and we had a great picture of me and him together. And so I'm sitting there. I'm going to do a Howard Stern interview. So I said to him, "Who thought up the name Microsoft?" He says, "I did." He said, "Bill and I were sitting around, and we had to come up with a name for the company." And I said, "Well, listen, what we're working with is very small, and it's software." So we said, "What about Microsoft?" And Bill said to him, "All right, let's go with that." And then I also knew that he talked Bill into quitting Harvard.
Is that right?
So I said, "Is it true that you talked Bill into quitting Harvard?" He says, "Yeah, his parents wouldn't talk to me for 9 months." They grew up together out in Seattle. He said Bill came from a well-to-do family, and he came from a middle class. But it was just really funny to hear him talk about how Bill Gates' family wouldn't talk to him for 9 months,
Right?
Especially his mother. I said, "Yeah, man. Can you imagine? He could have ruined his future."
Of course.
But I had such a great. I was more excited about meeting him than meeting Clapton.
Wow. Is it? I mean, I was going to ask you. I mean, you've met so many great musicians, so many great people. Is there anybody on the list that that you'd like to collaborate with? Someday in the future.
Collaborate?
Or even beat?
To tell you the truth, I've never played with Eric Clapton, but I would have loved to.
Right. I mean,
I met him once in the studio. Otherwise, I think I couldn't ask for a better. Been very lucky. Let's put it that way.
Right. I mean, the list is incredible. Leslie, I know we got to wrap it up, and I wanted to ask you. You're going to be doing some shows. You've already done some shows here. Are you going to be coming out west to promote the new record Soundcheck?
Are you in San Francisco?
We are.
Yeah, I love Marin County. Well, hopefully, I flew out there actually when I got married. We flew out to San Francisco. It was a big festival in a park, and then we flew to Maui for our honeymoon. And I love San Francisco. It's great. And if I'm going out that far, I want to go to San Francisco. In fact, I love coming there more than L.A. It's just, first of all, your temperature's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but listen, Eddie, it's been great talking to you, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, Leslie, it was fantastic having you on the program. We wish you the best for the rest of the year, and hopefully we get to see you when you come out here. And we look forward to the record hitting stores November 20th. Thank you so much. There it is. Absolute legend, Leslie West.